Hey, Stuart. Now, you have your two children now, and you also have kind of adopted Sam Schatz's two kids as if
Oh,
they're grandchildren.
those kids are just great.
You spend a lot of time with
Yeah,
them? or
they spend a lot of time with us. Yeah. They've been coming to our house since they're little babies. They're the greatest kids.
At this stage, you guys are retired.
Yeah.
So what do you do with your time?
Oh, we take it easy and we go here and we go there, and we've had a lot of problems the past 2 years. We haven't been able to do too much, but now we hope to be able to get away and take a little
Traveling?
vacations, yeah. But we had a couple of rough, bad years. Oh, that's in the past now.
I always knew that when you and Phoebe got together, it usually led to
Giggle spells. Oh boy, did we giggle.
What was the reason for that?
We don't know. It would just something would set us off. We had to walk out of the theater one time because we giggled. Your father wouldn't sit near us. We went in to buy fish one time in the fish market. We got a giggling spell. We walked out. And we don't know what brought it on. We just started to giggle, and that was it. And I wish we could get one of those giggling spells again. We still did, not up until long ago.
I know. It must be difficult for you to see your sister get
Oh, it sure is, yeah. Yeah. Well, she was good today, though. She really was very good today.
Well, I think she kind of feels that her sister Flora is a special person.
Oh,
You all are very close.
we had a lot of fun together. Vacations that we used to take were one of the best. We used to go away on the vacations together, and we really had fun.
So, many years from now, when you and I and our kids are probably all gone, how would you like to have, if they were looking back in a book somewhere, and they come across a Flora Schatz Dickman, how would you like them, in short sentence, there's going to be some way they're going to have to say, well, here was one. This was one of the great aunts or something.
That would be wonderful.
How would you like to have them to know? We can't tell everything about you. If you were going to be able to talk from up there and tell them, what would you say you were? How would you describe yourself?
Oh, well, that's not for me to say, Stanley. Somebody else has to. No, I can't say. I don't know what kind of a person I am. I am what I am. I don't know whether I'm good or I'm bad or what I am. Other people can judge you better than yourself. That's the way I feel.
A happy person?
Oh, yeah. I try to be.
Very sentimental person.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
I am. I try to be good.
You were
I try
stubborn
to
as the
help
rest of the
others.
family?
Huh?
Are you stubborn like the rest of the family?
I don't know. You have to ask other people. I don't know whether I'm
Well, your
stubborn or
husband
not.
would say yes or no.
Of course he would.
Mommy's a tough interview. That's somebody else. Now, what about the... I gotta hear this story. There was a story about when you'd see a new teacher that you didn't... But there were certain teachers that you didn't like or something like that?
Bernie put a mouse in a tractor. You and Francis Konashevsky.
No, me.
He went up to school with it. Why am I blaming him? And when it was hot, the teacher used to open up the
It was
tractor.
a tractor with a pull chain.
So he right over the teacher's desk, he put a dead mouse. And she pulled the thing. That wrote him on Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
Mrs. Smith.
And as,
Down came
and
the
as
mouse right
punishment,
on
she
her
wouldn't
desk.
let me graduate, see?
She didn't like Bernie.
I wonder why she didn't like you. I mean, for God's sake. You hit her with a sled, you get her...
So I called the school superintendent and I says, she says I can't graduate. And as far as I'm concerned, my grades are as good as they should be. So he says, we'll solve that. We'll give you a state test, which would be a regents today. And of course I passed that and that was it.
The heck with
But she was the kind that we would be sitting and eating lunch. Nobody was doing anything but eating. And she'd come along with a
The
ruler
ruler.
and bang.
Right across the knuckles, we get it.
So I took the rulers and I put them up in the attic through the woodshed. So when she found she had no more rulers, she brought a piece of hose.
Oh, man.
But I used to get 50 cents a week to come to school at 7:30 in the morning
Start the fire.
and start the fire and warm the schoolhouse up. And she had that hose in her desk but I found a way to open that drawer up. And each day I took an inch off the hose till she had a little piece left.
She was a mean teacher.
What was the teacher's name?
Mrs. Smith.
No, Smith.
This was Mrs. Smith.
Miss
Bernie.
Miss Smith.
Miss Smith.
Miss Smith,
She was
yeah.
a bad one.
Yeah.
Rhoda Minor was when I was in.
No.
The beginning.
Yeah, she was.
That was my teacher, and then I didn't have no Mrs. Smith.
Miss Smith, she was a. Oh.
So one day at lunchtime, she wanted a ruler and she was real mad. She came to me, she says, "Would you get the rulers?" She says, "I promise I won't use them on the kids." I says, "Fine, I'll tell you where they are in the woodshed. They're behind the wood pile on the right-hand side in the corner." So she went in to get the rulers and I locked the door. And she spent the afternoon in the dark woodshed.
Oh, she was a terrible.
I'd like to ask Flora, how come she never told, when I said, "Is there any other story?" No.
I can't remember everything.
She's Uncle Bernie, though, was.
But I always remember that mouse landing on her desk.
It wasn't only the mouse.
What was that?
All the dust and cobwebs that were up in the attic for 40 years, I put on top of this
You know, that
Trapdoor.
pulled it with a string. It went right
with a
over her
long
desk.
chain and a loop. She stuck a finger up on a hot day and pulled this thing and then went home and took a shower.
Oh, she was
Widen it out a little bit. The lever on top. All right, let me make it easy. Now focus it right the front ring. That's good. Thank you.
But it ended up,
She said she's gonna get you, and that was the non-graduate.
yeah, well, I got her instead because she lost her license for teaching in Connecticut. I got hold of the school superintendent and I told him the stories and he found out they were all true. And he came to the house and pleaded, this was 6 weeks before the end of the school year, pleaded to let her stay and finish the year because they would have to hire a teacher and they couldn't afford it. But they promised that if I would let them stay, they'd take a license away, and they did.
Boy, she was really a mean woman.
So she was replaced the following year by, any teacher that we disliked that wasn't good and we gave a hard time. If we got a good one, she got a car washed at noontime.
She was,
Anything she
the
wanted.
one after Mrs. Smith was,
Hagberg?
Hagberg.
Yeah, her father
Then came,
had a fur shop in Norwich.
that's right,
Yeah.
Hagberg. Then after her came, Miss Fields? Oh, I don't know.
Well,
if you were there.
no, you see, now I'm out and you're in. Yeah,
Yeah, I think Catherine Fields.
yeah, I remember that name.
Catherine Fields.
Yeah.
Who did you hit with the sled?
Teachers.
With any any.
When you were
The
going
nasty
down that back
ones.
hill, Bernie?
Yeah,
Down that, up behind the school?
yeah. Come over the 4-foot drop, stone
fence.
wall, right across it. And I never missed.
So if there was an Olympic event, you'd call it like the teacher slam or the teacher.
Oh, God. That little one-room schoolhouse could tell some
Yeah.
stories.
She had the wrong idea. She should have graduated you a year early. She was
Get rid of it.
better off.
Get rid of them.
And they had Schatz kids in that schoolhouse for
For many years.
many
And the
years.
Kaladi kids.
We were on, I think 17 years on the farm.
So more or less 17 years of going to that school.
Yeah, from the highest down to Flora.
Were they glad to see you get out of there? Probably called.
Oh, I think we were pretty good, the Schatzes. We were in all the spelling bees.
Yeah,
Do you remember
yeah.
the,
Yeah, Harry won
the
it.
speech
Speech contest.
speech contest at Palmer Hall?
Yeah.
It was always the Schatzes were in
Yeah.
these things.
What's Palmer Hall?
That was like the Grange.
That was the village hall.
Is
You
that
know that
related
place
to the
where
Palmer
it's
Crow?
still-
Play the quilt.
Bernie, you
Yeah.
know it's still there?
Yeah,
We had our graduations there, our Mother's Day plays.
right.
But
Every
the-
Mother's Day, it was a big,
The Palm Brothers quilt mill isn't there anymore.
No,
That's
that
gone.
burned down on four
Yeah.
different times, I understand. Finally, it's gone.
Or was that before the days of insurance?
No, I'm
for
talking
damages?
about now, recently.
Oh, recently.
Yeah.
But
That's
Palmer
where
Hall
Fee
still-
worked.
Yeah, Palmer Hall still looks the same.
Yeah.
And then Phoebe worked in the antique
Yeah.
mill too.
So Aunt Phoebe was in textiles at an early
Yeah,
age.
she used to do
They made
weaving.
quilts.
Weaving.
Yeah.
Didn't they make quilts?
Not in the attic.
No, Palmer.
Palmer Brothers made quilts. She was one of the largest quilt factories in the world.
So what was the antic?
The attic, American Wool Mill.
You know what I always wanted to ask you? Did you ever hear of, Mom, what was Richie Gelman's grandfather? Kyotic. Did you ever hear of a family named Kyotic in Yantic?
Yes, that
Wasn't it
sounds
Yantic?
familiar.
It's Richie Gelman's grandfather.
That's right. That was in Lebanon.
Like I said, it was in Lebanon.
Yeah, because when I met, when Richie, you and Richie started school, no,
Yeah.
no. He didn't go to kindergarten at Polk Street School.
I guess
He
not.
started with Donald
Mhm.
Jelly.
But he,
But anyway, I met
Collada, I know, but not
Lil
Collada.
Gelman in Polk Street School. She brought Richie there. I don't guess it was open school day or something.
and you found out she was
And we
from
got to
Lebanon?
talking, and she asked me where I came from, and I told her it's a little town in Connecticut. She says, I come from there. So she says, what town do you come from? I said, you wouldn't even know it. I said, little town, Fitchville, Basra. She says, I come from Lebanon, which is the next town.
The top of the hill.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
if his grandfather was anything like our grandfather, that guy was, when I met him, 75, he had arms like Steve Garvey. And I was such a cool kid, his cow promptly chased me up a tree. But he knew the Schatz. Kyotic knew the Schatz.
Do you remember where Julius Schatz lived? Not our brother Julius, the other Julius Schatz in Lebanon.
Yeah, he had a farm, a poultry farm, he and his brother.
Julius Schatz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not in Lebanon. It's
I remember the place. I can see.
Baskerville, the town, you remember the town? Where,
I remember Basra, but I thought this was like up on a hill.
wait a minute, that's up on the hill, but the town, this little town of Baskerville, not
Yeah.
Ba-
No, Basra. It's
Basra,
not
yeah,
Gilman.
that, where Gilman's, now it's Gilman's.
Yeah.
Well, there you went up a hill and that's where the farm
Now
was.
that wasn't too far from Lebanon.
No,
Because
yeah.
Mr. Lil Gilman's father knew that Julius Schatz. He was a cousin, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And he was a cousin of ours.
he was a husky guy.
That's right.
Yeah, he
looked
was a
like prize
floor
fighter.
layer, wasn't he?
He looked like a
Yeah.
prize fighter.
Parquet floor.
Parquet floor.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now you got Julius Schatz, not the other. So he was a cousin, so he was a cousin, so he
He was a
was
cousin
one
of
of
ours.
your,
I think it was a cousin
One
on
of your
Papa's
parents-
side, naturally. It was
Yeah,
Schatz.
yeah,
so he was one of Sam's nephews,
yeah.
your father's nephews.
Right, something like that.
Which brother was
I don't
his
know
father?
whether it was a cousin. I think it may have been a cousin to
But
my
that's
father.
what,
It's a
Uncle
cousin to
Harry's,
us.
Uncle Harry's son is my cousin, or Uncle Sam's son.
No, I don't know. Was it that close? I thought
Yeah, it was a cousin to us.
Well, what was his
Papa's-
father then? Who was his father?
A brother.
Yeah, but what was his
What was
name?
his
you know?
name?
Schatz also, this
Well,
guy.
which Schatz? It was, there were 8 or
But
10
I
Schatz.
I don't know
It was
his
Papa's
father's
nephew.
name.
I think it was Papa's cousin. Julius Schatz was.
You know, he was our cousin.
And he
Was
was
he
Papa's
Papa's nephew?
nephew. Where is that?
I don't have it, I left it across the hall.
I don't know if he was Papa's nephew.
Who were Papa's brothers?
That I never knew his brothers.
Okay,
They
so-
were all in Europe, I thought.
Yeah.
So where
You
did
know
this
what
we
Julius
ought to
Schatz
do
come in? I don't know.
Is try writing letters to Europe under the name of Schatz. Because I remember
Well,
mailing,
how do you do?
look at this,
Hey, she
Where have
is.
you been?
mailing letters
And where are you
to
going
Europe
now with all your
under the name of
paraphernalia?
Schatz. So the name was Schatz in Europe and Schatz
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, the trouble is Schatz is too common a name in Europe, both for Jewish and
You going
non-Jewish
for a
families.
swim?
But
You'd have to go over and do the
No,
research.
but if you send it to that
You
town,
look like you're going for a
In
swim. You
Europe.
got all your
then it may be
Minsk.
Well,
no.
Minsk is a big area.
Humman.
Yeah,
Humman.
Humman. Well, Humman was only part of it, though. Humman went back
Humman's
to...
around there where we lived.
Right.
Minsk is a big, like a state.
Humman was where Yale Schatz came from. The Schatz side.
Yeah.
Tunics didn't come from Humman.
No, I'm talking about
The
the
Schatz
Schatz
side.
side.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, she kept everything she said before. Mommy's thinking she can't call in, she's a grown-up.
Oh,
Did you like
look at
that?
that little face. Did she have a good nap?
Yeah.
Did you not?
Yeah.
That was good.
Hey, Mom? Mark? I'm getting graphic proof of him.
Did you zoom in? Zoom in. And focus.
Get the mic over there.
No, Dad, were you sleeping or what? Dad, were you Uncle Lou told me about the paint store that, well, I guess you weren't around, the paint store that he had in Brooklyn. Not before you, but Uncle Lou.
No,
You were there.
we worked with paint stores at the farm, and it was
I don't remember.
yeah.
He happened to be the biggest contractor in New York.
Was it
That's what Uncle Lou told me, at 50 people.
Who was?
Yeah.
Sam Shaw,
My father.
their father, had 50,
Before 1970, when Bronzeville was being built, he was the biggest
Painting contractor. there
painting
was.
contract at that time. Now the Schatz is still the biggest painting in New York, and he, you know,
But it has nothing
nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
Well,
He
the-
spells his name S-H-A-T-Z instead of S-C-H.
Yeah.
but why did he get out of business then if he was doing so well?
That was before 1970. 1970, the country went depression. It went bankrupt. And
Oh, okay.
the man that he's working for him, Strongen, was a relative of ours. Strongen. They came from the same town. I don't think he was a relative. And he went bankrupt, was automatically bankrupt, my father. And that was the end of him being a big boss.
Now I'll give my version of what
Okay.
I
You
heard.
really remember.
All right. I don't remember this. This is what I understood. Strongen was a builder,
Yeah.
and he came to all the contractors that worked for him and said, you know something? You guys have made some money with me. If you'll go along with me now, things are getting bad. If you go along with me now, we can still continue to work and build a bunch of houses. So he did, but it was in the days when today he owned it, and when you asked for the money the next day, he says, I don't own anything, it all belongs to my wife. And that's what he did. He turned everything over to his wife, and he didn't own anything, and nobody could touch him. So he put everybody into,
Thank you.
not bankruptcy, or put them out of business anyway.
Bernie, didn't I have this place in Gardner's Lake, Strongen's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
The
had an
old man.
old place
The
up
old-
there in Gardner's Lake. Where were
You're
you?
getting stories.
I'm not talking right now.
And it so happens that when I went to New York and I started to contract and paint,
The family.
who did I started work for but the Strongens.
They were in the building.
And every Friday I went in and I would get money, payroll money. You know, I'd
Right.
submit the week's work and I'd get a check. And it was a 4th of July weekend, and he went away on Thursday, and I couldn't get money on Friday. So when he got back, I started to scream and holler at him. So he said, what's the big deal? You don't trust me? I says, my father trusted your family. That was enough. I never had any more trouble with money.
So after he got stuck, your father got stuck and had a, what did he do, other business then?
Well, I
Stone, the old man came on the farm afterwards when he was...
And that's when he went to the
Yeah.
farm afterward?
Yeah, he came up to the farm. But the thing is this, he swore to my father that he was going to pay him, and he never did. And what did he say? He says, my daughter shouldn't live if I don't pay her. 'Cause, his daughter got cancer and died. That's it.
And he became blind.
Oh, that was years later, but he
Well,
told...
that part I didn't know.
Yeah, he told Papa, if I don't pay her, my daughter shouldn't live.
That's my plan, I don't know.
Yeah, but I thought if it wasn't too expensive, I think the right.
I remember when they came up, old man Strongen and his wife, and they were talking about his daughter, that,
She was sick.
that's when I heard the story.
So what other nonsense can you tell me while I got you here? What other catastrophes did you create?
Oh, I heard you ask Flora about what we did for holidays and things, and which holiday. The big holiday was the 4th of July. Johnny, who worked for us,
Right?
who was brought home as a drunk by my father from the gutter and from Norwich,
Right.
Tell you what you have to do is to
stayed with us for like 30 years or so.
you'll save $10 in gasoline anyway.
He would go into the city
I'm gonna find out.
before the 4th, and he'd come home with big bags full of fireworks. And he put on the fireworks display, which was what you'd go to the parks to see today.
Oh, it's cheaper than, it's cheaper than, they're more expensive than driving.
But you did this on the farm, before this was
Yeah.
on the farm?
Yeah.
Okay. What, and you didn't do anything for Halloween particularly?
No.
That wasn't-
We were going to scare the cows and the chickens?
I don't know.
No, my daughters took care of Halloween.
Did, were there any of the neighbors that you didn't like at all? I mean,
No.
No.
No,
you were afraid of one, but that was, as I understand, but, was it Mrs. Gager you were afraid of, you say?
Oh, well, that was
Walk to
different.
school, and we wouldn't, her house was here, Kalani kids would walk on this side. Bernie, and do you know that one time the Kalani kids and I was coming home from school, there was such a storm, it was terrible, we couldn't even see where we were going.
Yeah.
And she called us in, she wanted us to come in her house, and we were so afraid, we didn't go in. We came
Yeah.
home, and the
Such a storm,
Kalani
you couldn't
kids,
see the front of the boat.
the Kalani kids came into our house, they
Yeah.
couldn't go home.
Now, she says we didn't like her.
Later, Bernie.
We didn't like her because we had 100 apple trees in our orchard, but she had her orchard with a dozen trees. And yeah, we had to take some of the apples off of her tree on the way home.
Remember we used to swing?
So she would watch us and she would start screaming.
Bernie, remember we used to swing on the oak trees?
And the oak trees,
Oh,
yeah.
Those
big
are
oak
big,
trees.
we had oak trees on the foot of the hill before it came up. They're the oldest trees in Connecticut, I think, and the biggest oak trees in the,
Oh, there was something.
And they used to come and measure them every year.
Yeah.
yeah. They were terrific.
And the branches must have been 60 or 70 foot out, and we'd crawl out on the end and start swinging
Swing
them.
on,
We used to
like that,
swing
It down.
on the branches.
But you know, Bernie, years later, I went there with Sarah
Yeah.
to Lily Gage's house, and she remembers that day. She told me, she said, I wanted all you kids to come in the house. I watched you through the window. You couldn't even see where you were going. The snow was so deep, and none of us would come in. I couldn't tell her we were afraid.
And she told Sarah that screaming at us made her day. Not because she disliked us, it was just because we were a
The
bunch of kids.
excitement.
She was never married, had nothing to do with children, had no children, and she'd see us going to school and coming back and stealing her apples.
And then she'd call up on the phone. Your cows are
Your
in
cow-
the pasture again. Very patient, about 4 times a week.
Which we later found out was really our pasture. Did you ever know that?
Right.
That our land really extended down to her house, to the spring, the brook that was down?
No.
Yeah.
I thought it was the,
All of that
Warwick
was
Hill
in our
Road.
original deed. They took that away when they made up the deed for us,
Oh,
when Papa bought the
that I
house.
didn't know.
Yeah. She told
that-
Sarah, she said, you were stealing your own apples. She says it was really yours.
So, in other words, the big oak trees were in our land.
Yes, it was until the deed was changed when we bought it. The original deed had it on there, but you bought it 620 acres more or less.
Yeah.
It was like 6,000 more or less. We owned
Oh, we had...
3 sides of the mountain.
Yeah. You know, the name of the mountain was Cannon Hill.
Yeah,
The Cannon Hill. And the reason they called it Cannon Hill at Fitchville, where they made the quilts today, or made the quilts, they used to manufacture cannons during the Civil War. And the mountain, the hill, up the hill that, you know, it's off in the house, they used to take the cannons there and test them out. Shoot
By
them
shooting them down in the
in the
valley.
valley.
No, they'd attacked the rebel army over in Georgia.
I
That was a good
now I
test.
remember
You
they
could
called
take a fire
it
gun from Boswell all the way to Talladega. That's a
Talladega.
pretty good trooper gun.
Bernie, do you remember the caves?
Yeah, Harry got stuck in one for a half a
Right,
day.
and we
See,
used
I
to
said
echo
Harry
from, we
yesterday.
stand on our farm, they used to yell from the cave in the woods.
Yeah.
We used to hear it over on the,
Yeah.
What do you mean, you yelled from a cave?
yeah, from
Echo,
the
the
cave.
echo.
I think it's here in Brooklyn.
Well, there was 2 ends. They hollered at one end, you could hear the other end.
These days you
Oh,
call
these
it-
were real deep caves?
What do we
No,
do
this
with
was
Talladega?
through a mountain.
That's what I mean, but they went all the way
Yeah.
through?
Yeah, and Harry decided to crawl through once, and he got jammed in, and it took him all afternoon before he can get himself out. I guess he must have shrunk from loss of sweat from being
It
so
seemed-
nervous.
It seems to me that Bernie was the one who always caused trouble, but Harry always got into it.
Now, I'll tell you something. For a bunch of kids who had to improvise their own amusement and all, we were very good. We didn't really get into any trouble. We
I think the way I
we
used
always
I got a teacher fired.
throwing dead rats at the teacher.
Oh, Albie, if you had this Miss Smith,
We had our own problems. You didn't need your problems.
oh, she was really something.
My sister's, my oldest sister, Honey's father.
Dad, Linda's coming over by ferry tomorrow morning to Bridgeport.
Yeah.
You want to go with me and pick her up about
You don't
9:30?
everybody know.
Okay. And you have to tell me later how we're gonna go.
I'll tell you what.
Nicely.
All right, now what were you saying?
I forgot.
Honey's father,
Oh, when,
Let me go back.
before my sister got married, Honey's
Put that
grandmother,
back.
my sister's mother-in-law, used to have the corner grocery store down here. Or that's my general store in town. So, like kids in most neighborhoods, we got ways of making
Where's Mama?
slingshots and things.
I haven't seen her.
And we developed a method for making a slingshot.
that ain't, oh, sure. Good.
The Kaladi barn burned down.
The barn burned down, which was a neighbor in the woods about a mile away from us. So
Kaladi there.
yeah, and we saw the sky was aglow, so we all went over there, and we formed a bucket brigade, and we saved the buildings that weren't on fire.
Always
And then,
think that buckets of gasoline there pouring out.
and the next day in the paper, it said what gallantry from the fire department did to save the buildings.